Uh, are you ready for our real life love scenario?
I am.
Okay. So, you can fill in the blanks, but briefly, I'm sure a lot of people saw it on social media if you follow relationship content.
It was on
and you
everything.
follow some of the major blogs. But basically, it was a roundtable discussion with Nick Cannon, Neo, was it Godfrey, comedian, and two other gentlemen. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, I can't remember the other guys.
But there was a conversation about basically the good guy versus
The bad guy.
the bad guy.
The bad boy.
And who do women desire most? Who wins most? Who is better positioned to get the girl? And there were some interesting perspectives. Most of them agreed that they have started off trying to be the good guy, and then they realized that didn't work.
Yeah.
So then they decided to go the bad guy route. And even Neo said both didn't work for him, but the bad guy
Obviously.
worked a little bit better. And I guess what better is, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
But you can't, if you're listening, you can't sense the sarcasm in Rhonda's answer there.
Lots of it, guys.
But yeah, what's your thoughts on this, being our resident woman here?
Yeah.
Do you think that this is true, that girls go for the bad guy?
I'm going to get the diplomacy out the way first.
Okay, get it out.
Obviously, this is a case-by-case thing. However, the diplomacy is certainly, I'm not going to take away from their experiences. There are good guys that go bad, just like there are good girls that go bad because they don't get the results that they're looking for, or they get hurt and they feel like the only way to feel better is to then hurt people, right? Hurt people, hurt people. We hear that saying. So do I understand that? Of course I do. I really do get that. But I just think it's a bit of a crock of crap to say that you yielded better results by becoming a bad boy. What I think they're kind of saying, and what I think as a woman, is sometimes certain women are attracted to a edginess, right? Doesn't mean we want you to be bad at your core. We do not want you to be bad boys, as in mistreat us, disrespect us, cheat, lie, have babies while you're married, get STDs while you're married. I know, no, we don't want that. But what we would like, and I'm speaking generally because all women aren't like this. So I'm not speaking for the women like myself, women that I know. We want a guy that is good in his heart, but has some edge about him, has what we call swag. I don't know if that's still a thing. What's the new? Is it Riz? Is Riz the new thing?
I don't know these new terms.
Just someone that has some charisma.
Yeah.
That can be cool, but just can balance it all out. Like, you love God, but you also can spit some bars to some hip hop songs. Like, you are gonna open my door, but you also gonna slut me out when it's time for that type of thing. It just has to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I think balance is always the best thing, right? Like, Dre, I think about you. Like, you are a good guy at your core. I think you're a good guy beyond your core. But you also know how to work a room. You also know how to be charming and balanced. You know how to make yourself look nice. But you're also just like a good man. You have good ethics and morals, and you have a compass that says, I shouldn't do this to my wife or any woman, anybody in my life. But you also know how to balance it out. And so I think that's what it is, that there needs to be a better way to explain out what they're saying. I think it's lazy, and I think it's an excuse to say that, oh, I wasn't getting the girls when I was being good to them. Maybe you were also shooting at the wrong girls. That's also very possible. The girls that you might want may in fact love bad boys. That's very possible. The vixen, the girl that is looking the way that you want, she might be a bad girl. So that's why she want a bad boy. So if that's what you want, then that's what you're going to get. You could very well be wholesome and then look for a wholesome girl. And that may not come in the package that you wanted in. Okay. That might not be all this, that. I'm not going to use any necessary phrases to describe the woman, but I do think that plays a part in it. I do think that plays a part in it. What you're shooting at determines maybe how you need to show up. So yeah, I don't know. It felt like an excuse. And Nick Cannon and Neo specifically, I'm not here to judge them, but their decisions around women that we see have been interesting, especially Nick. You know, with all of the children and all of the families that he's created, I understand what he's tried to explain about it with legacy and all of that. But I think creating that many homes, that has nothing to do if you were a good guy and then you decided to be bad and this is how you got there. Same thing with Neo. Like, that's not what that. I don't think that's what that is. It's just a series of bad decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
I would love to hear yours as the non-resident woman.
What Rhonda gave was a great answer.
Okay. Here we go.
It was a great answer.
You about to give me, y'all.
But that's the mature woman answer.
She is 40.
That is a mature woman answer.
Yeah.
Mature woman want edge.
Yes.
Immature woman want validation and approval. And that's where the origin of the bad guy starts.
Okay.
So let's say generally, just in general, most people feel like innately that they are a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you desire something or someone and they don't believe you are that good person, you naturally want to prove them wrong, right? A lot of times.
Yeah.
Especially in an immature state where you can't really tell the difference if that's good or a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you enter into this world because a lot of them said when they were younger, they were the good guy, right?
Yeah.
You enter into this world to where the good guy is reaffirming all the things that you yourself believe about yourself.
Yeah.
But instead of going and choosing that guy, you're choosing the person who you have to prove you are the person that you are too.
Okay.
So now as the good guy, I'm looking like, I believe you are the person you believe you are.
Yeah.
And I want to celebrate that. I want to give that person flowers. I want to be sweet and kind to that person. But for some reason, I'm being ignored. So you can prove to somebody who doesn't believe that you're any of that and prove to him constantly, and seek his approval and validation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the origin story starts.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm resenting that.
Yeah.
I'm angry.
Yeah.
I'm upset. I see how you're getting treated. You say you want better because you communicate that you want to be treated like the person you think you are, like a queen. But when you have the person who's ready to give that to you, you don't want that person. You rather try to get it from somebody who doesn't see you as that at all. So then looking from that perspective as the guy, you're like, well, it's more work for me to be the great guy and do all these things. And it's not even yielding me the results that I want at this time. So why not be in a position to where I don't have to do that? And I see that it gets me the attention that I want. Or even in those situations, it can come across as, okay, I still don't think that's right. However, now I have a subconscious resentment and anger. So when you do get to the mature phase and you realize the good guy is actually the one that I should be trying to talk to, now I'm in a position like, you're back. I see. Okay. We have fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not taking you serious anymore because I had an opportunity to where I was in a position, I wanted you but now you see me in this light. Now you want to change. Yeah. So I think that's another perspective. And I think the good guy wins at the end. But I think that in the beginning, especially if you're dealing at a younger age with immature men and women, and not even say you're just young, you're 10 or 12 or 15, like you're at the maturity level you should be for your age. Sure. Right? As you get older, you understand more things, but at that age, there's just things you don't know and you don't understand, and there's things that you value that you probably shouldn't value.
Yeah.
That's not a woman's fault necessarily or a man's fault, but it's just a natural reaction for, what happens at that age, but that impacts a man based off of what he sees getting rejected in that way for being what he believes is great. And just like you all see, I grew up in the golden age. That's what Disney calls it, the golden age. That's when Lion King, Hercules, Aladdin. I watched those movies just like all the girls did. So while you saw Prince Charming, you know, I was seeing Jasmine and Cinderella and like that chivalry was part of my upbringing too.
Yeah.
But I deliver that to you and you're like, nah, I'm good. Like then it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of a letdown and a heartbreak. So I feel like a lot of men start off trying to be in that position of being good, but then they realize like, dang, it's not being reciprocated at that age. And then that creates the mindset of when they get older, acting and behaving a certain way.
You know what I think? What I kept thinking about, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm not, and I'm in no way totally, and in no way am I saying it's wrong. It can't be wrong, but I think so much of this is rooted in aesthetics. I think so much of even the categorizing of good versus bad is rooted in physical aesthetics, and it's my theory, right? Because I think we all knew who the cute guy was or the cute guys were and the cute girls were, even when you think about middle and high school. And whether they were good or bad, right, based on their character, they didn't have a problem getting who they wanted because of how they presented. They probably were more popular because they looked a certain way. Or because of the things that they participated in. But I'm going to, again, root it in how they looked. If they were good looking, if the really cute girl, it could have been, let's call it 80 girls in the grade. The best looking 20 are going to have their pick of the litter of the best looking 20 boys or the boys that they just want. And so those girls could be good girls. They could be bad girls. Same thing with the boys. I feel like the mistreatment, the good guy being the chivalrous one and all of that, it's rooted in the aesthetic. 9 times out of 10, the one who is being good and is being nice and is being sweet is probably not the cutest guy. It's probably not he's not the freshest guy. He may not have the best looking clothes. He may also not have that edge that I talked about. He doesn't balance it, where the cute boy could very well be good, but he also has the edge, or his edge is just something he didn't even work hard at. His parents had sex and they made his face. They made him look the way he looked. He didn't have to try like that. I feel like that is really what we're talking about a lot of times. I don't think it becomes more rooted in your character until you get a bit older, even if it's not until you're in your 20s. Like, I'm not saying this to be mean at all, because I think talking about people's looks is like not okay. But I think in general, when you look at Neo, I don't think most women are like, he is so handsome, right? Like, I'm not saying he's unattractive. I think he's unique. He has a very unique look. But I can imagine in high school or middle school, girls would probably like, no, like, and he might have been nice. Not only was he good, he could sing. He probably, I don't know if he was into sports. He may or may not have been, but he seemed like he was more of an artsy kid. So you combine those things, and then it's like the girls that you want, which of course everybody wants the pretty girl. Everybody wants the cute girl. Even the boys that know they can't get her, they want her. I don't necessarily think it was you were being nice necessarily. I think or you were being good. It was that you just probably didn't fit the bill, because when we're kids, majority of our decisions to date are rooted in what? You cute. You cute and you popular. That's it. Honestly, that's really the bulk of it. So I feel like people who look good really don't struggle, even mostly through their lives. They don't struggle to get who they want. Did you struggle to get who you wanted?
There was a time and point.
How old were you?
There was
3? 8?
Well, I mean, my situation is a little different because I went to a private school where my 8th grade class was like 30 people or 40 people. So obviously, just by odds, it's just different. And then that could affect your confidence level. And then when I got to public school, it was a lot of people. So obviously that changed. But I do think that you have a point of the aesthetics thing. But
even with Nick Cannon, I think he's more handsome, if you will. But I could see him being.
But here's where the issue lies.
Okay.
Is referencing something that you had said when we talked about the Drea situation with Jalen Green. Is that just because somebody physical, biological age is one thing doesn't mean that their mindset is there.
True.
So that same mindset of the appearance thing and all that could be cool at 13,
Right.
but people carry that same mindset into 25, 30 as well.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
So then now as adults, you're still dealing with this, and it shows up in a different way. Looks may be coupled with money or clout or something of that nature, but it's still, you rather have that guy versus me. And I can speak to how it manifested in my life. Like, I have two examples. One, when I met my wife for the first time and I took her out and dinner and picked her up and paid for everything and like played the piano and all that stuff. When I first met her that first weekend, she thought it was corny. Like, open up the door, like, this is corny. Like, this is trash. I look the same, whatever. But then through the time that we disconnected, she experienced some things which forced her perspective to change and for her to mature her perspective and what really matters and what she wants out of a man. And then those things that she thought at one point were corny or didn't matter, she then realized were the things that she needed to value. And that's why I say that the good guy wins ultimately. But sometimes women fall into trouble maturing too late sometimes in the process, I think. But then my other situation was, I was talking to a girl who I didn't really like. She was cool, but I didn't see no future with her. I didn't want to, even every time we slept together, I was just hoping that I didn't get her pregnant and like, but she was like cool, but she like wanted me so bad.
Okay.
So bad. And now I look back, I'm like, dang, I was probably the bad guy in that situation. Like, I was the guy who inconsistent. When I wanted some, I hit her up. Places like a car, like, she came one time, I didn't want to sleep over after we were done. I was like, dropped her off at her friend's house at 2 a.m. Like, that type I was the bad guy in that situation.
Yeah.
But I think about it, she was right. She would do anything I asked her to do in that situation. So I'm like, I can now see why some men would be like, oh, like, as far as control or, this or that feeling when it comes to dealing with a woman, why you would feel like you have more control or you're in a better position to get what you want in that situation versus being the great guy. However, two things that I would consider is that at that time, that was not my purposeful mindset. It was more of, I'm just not really into her in that way. I wasn't trying to manipulate or be the bad guy or anything like that. It's just, that's ultimately what it was. And then two, I was immature at that time.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it. The person I am now, I probably would have just let her go and just told her like, this is what it is, or handled things in a completely different way. So I get the perspective of men, because I've been the good guy. I've been the guy who's been turned down. I've been the guy who's like been in those situations, and you see somebody like, really, him? And I get that feeling too. Like, I had people from high school like spin the block and be like, oh, you are, well, and it's like, oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool, yeah. And I dated some of them, but then I was just like, nah, I ain't never like, nah, we good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because that listen, growing up it does most of us a really good. It does most of us good. Like, we all, even the pretty girls and the good looking guys, maturing tends to help with your physical development, and you come into yourself, and things that just didn't look right because they didn't fully grow yet. Yeah, sometimes by 29 or 32, you like, damn, that's the same girl. She was like, again, if you think about being a brace face, so all these different things that we had going on, or you only wore glasses because that's all your parents would get you, and then you wound up getting contacts, so that changed things, or you had a weird haircut, and then you got to take care of your own hair. So certain things can really alter how you look once you get older. And again, attraction is a huge part of what we do from childhood through, but then you start considering other things, like with your example with Bree. It's like Bree's, I'm sure most of her life was considered pretty, so she could probably get whoever she really wanted. So then it did come down to, but how does a person treat me? I can get a good looking bad guy and that edge seems cool, but it's too edgy, or I can get a good looking good guy, and that's actually going to fare out better for my life. when you can really pick like that, maturity will cause the good guy to win in the end. Immaturity will cause you to just chase after that because of things you haven't dealt with within yourself. If you are literally just rooting your pick on how they look and what they have, I mean, I don't care how old you are. That's just not what you do. It's not going to work out for you. I mean, maybe because you may just want temporary things. But if you want something long lasting and substantial, that's never going to work, because most people are eventually going to know that's why you're here. You're really only here because I look good and what I provide to you. I think, again, even using Neo, I cannot sit here to try to speak to or understand his dynamic that he shared, the new one where he's in like a poly relationship. But do I think that without his esteem and like who he is and what he can provide in that type of dynamic, would they go for that? I'm not sure. Not sure. Maybe. But I can't call it.
But that's part of what you build as a man, that you know you have to, that's part of your repertoire when it comes to attracting women. It's not just based off of your appearance. There's a lot of other factors.
Or your personality. It's
a lot of other factors that come into it. And if you build those up, they can supplement other things depending on the woman that you're dealing with.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's
a tricky one.
It's a tricky one. Yeah. I still hold true that the good ones went out at the end.
Always.
And good ones with the edge, because women just don't want to date somebody they feel like is lame or super corny. Like that's just.
And I think there's exceptions, obviously. Like, the nerdy girls like nerdy guys. You know what I mean? Like, you find your tribe, find your people.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. The ultimate answer to this is, if you are good, you probably want good. And if you are bad, you probably want bad. And rarely do you want the opposite of that. But whatever works for y'all. You know what I mean? I think really just treat people the right way. Try to handle people the right way always, even if it's just for a moment. Make sure that moment is good and it doesn't end up damaging them. That's really what it's about. I hope that the gentlemen are maturing as they get older, because these are 40-something-year-old men. I think Godfrey is in his 50s, so I hope that they really are showing up to be good men to the women in their lives.
It also shows that men are just way more sensitive than women, because the fact that we reference when I was a kid, when I was younger, this happened, and you still holding on to that. It's
running
like,
through them, getting your lick back 25 years later.
It just hurt. It still hurt. Like, you still remember those times, and you're still insecure about a lot of those things maybe you were told when you were younger. Like, those things still affect you. So it's just like, be mindful too of when you tell people things, and like, how it affects them.
Because it does, man.
It does.
That shit sticks. As a person who has experienced it, the shit sticks and it sucks.